Alrighty, man, am I stoked. I was contacted by a company, and it's spelled XZAY. XZAY? And they said, hey, we specialize in LiFePo4 batteries and want to know if you'd like to review one. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I looked at their website, and they range anywhere from like a 12 amp hour all the way up to a 310 amp hour. And so I told them, I got back to them and I said, hey, look, the only real battery that I'm interested in right now would be one to upgrade my van. And the van currently has a 200 amp hour LiFePo4 battery. So I told them, and they got back to me like the next day and said, hey, we'll be happy to send you one of our 310 amp hour, these are the minis, the smaller ones. And I've heard all good things about those. And I thought, sure, heck, I'd be glad to. A week later, it arrives. So we are going to be able to upgrade our battery system here in the van by probably close to 40%. We're going to go from a 200 amp hour to a 310 amp hour. Now, this is fantastic. This battery, it's not a self-heating battery, which uses some power, but it does have the low temp and high temp cutoffs. And that is fantastic. This is going to fit perfect in the van. So let's get to it. Alrighty, here it is out of the box. It comes in at right at 58 pounds. Can you imagine how much a lead acid battery that was 310 amp hours would weigh? Oh my God. One of the things I saw in the paperwork that just jumped out at me right off the bat was it's got a 3-year free replacement warranty. So, you know, that's fantastic. 3-year replacement. I was looking at the battery specs. It's a 12 volt, 12.8 volts, 310 amp hour, total energy, 3,968 watts. That's a lot of wattage. And it's got a 200 amp hour or 200 amp BMS or battery management system, and that's amazing too. Peak discharge current 500 amps for 3 to 5 seconds. That's kind of if you get a surge. So it's good. The low temp protection, it cuts it off at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can't charge anything below 32, and it won't discharge at anything below -8, -8 Fahrenheit. So what more could you ask for? That's fantastic. It comes with 2 sets of bolts for the terminals. One are some little shorties and the others are longer. That way if you're going to use more than one cable, you can use the longer bolt. Actual dimensions, 9 3/4 high, 7 1/2. And then I'm going to go to the outside of the brackets here, the handles, because that gives you a true idea of actually how, you know, what kind of space you can set it in. 15 inches. Alrighty. Enough about the battery for now. Let's get this bad boy installed. Alrighty. I saved you all the grunting and moaning and carrying on it took for me to get that mattress lifted up and access to the battery. But this is where the battery compartment is in the van. So you can see the larger battery takes up almost the entire space. And this will be the first step toward disconnecting this, and that's going to be to turn off all the breakers and reduce all the power. And then once we have that done, we'll disconnect the battery. Alrighty, let's get these clothes back out of the way. And here is the electrical system. You got to excuse my mess here. We had a little problem with our monitoring system, but we're in the process of fixing that. But let's go ahead and kill all of the breakers. All right, that should eliminate all the power from everything. Okay, now let's go disconnect the battery. All right, you can see it's kind of dark in here. We lost all of our power. I've got a couple of lights up in here. But what we're going to do is disconnect these cables. Now we're going to want to take the negative off first. Okay. I think you can see. All right. Now the positive. Okay. This is pretty simple stuff. It's just being careful is all it is. Now, this is the temperature sensor for the controller. And then over here on the back side of the battery, I can get it off here. Yeah. This is the temperature sensor for the thermostat, which controls the fan. So if this compartment would happen to get too cold, it'll pull warm air from in the living area. All right, now this battery, as you can probably tell, won't come out this way. So what we'll have to do is, this actually is the drawer, the front side of the drawer. So what I'll have to do is pull the drawer completely out and then slide this battery out through the rear of the van. And then, of course, slide the new one in. All right, that's the next step. All right, I got a roller in place. Let's see if I can do this without having to unload this entire thing. All right. That was easier than I thought it was going to be. Let me show you. All right, so we lifted the battery out of its little tray, if you want to call it that. And now we're just going to push it on forward as far as we can and get it from the other side. These nylon slides really help. You know, those are the slides we've got for the drawer. All right, not bad. I just need to get a couple of blocks of wood like I did for the bigger one and cut them to the appropriate size, and that'll secure that in there. All right, so now let's put the cables back on. We'll try the short one first. Don't know that it'll work. We're going to give it a shot. Yep, it's threading. Okay, good. Good, good, good. Now the key on this is tight, but not too tight. And that's why we're going to do it with a screwdriver and not a power tool. Alrighty, here we go with the negative cable. So this battery is a little taller than the other one. So we're pretty close, but I don't think we're going to have any issue. It's always the negatives that you want to make darn sure you have tight. Because if you're going to have any kind of issue, it's going to be from a loose negative. And if you're going to have a fire, 90% of the time, that's where a fire originates. So always make sure that negative cable is good and snug. Alrighty, now let's check the charge of the battery, the condition of the battery. 13.23 volts, and in a 12-volt battery, that is 90%. 13.2 is 90%. All right, so I'm going to move the camera back. And if the lights come on, we know we've done our job. Okay, I'm going to turn these on one at a time. Let's see what happens. And this should be the lights. All right. It accepted the load. Okay. I know this has been a long one, and I apologize, but I really wanted you guys to see where we stored the battery, and I built everything in what I call the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. We didn't need anything elaborate to hold that battery in. We just snug it in there. So, I think we're good to go. Thanks again for coming along with us. Hope to see you on the next one. Later.